Hey there, and welcome back to Rise and Thrive. This is Shay Blackman. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever walked into a room, a boardroom, a leadership meeting, a high stakes presentation, and felt like any second someone was going to figure out you don't belong there? Have you ever received a promotion, a recognition, an opportunity you worked your entire career for, and instead of celebrating, your first thought was, they made a mistake? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. Audre Lorde, poet, activist, and one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century, once said, I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood. Now, she wasn't specifically talking about imposter syndrome when she wrote that, but here's the thing, she might as well have been. Because what imposter syndrome does at its core is silence us. It makes us swallow our ideas. It makes us second guess our contributions. It convinces us that the safest thing to do is stay quiet, stay small, and hope nobody notices we're here. And that's exactly what we're dismantling today. We're 3 weeks into 2026, and I know many of you are stepping into new roles, new responsibilities, new territories. Some of you got that promotion. Some of you finally started that business. Some of you are sitting in rooms you never imagined you'd occupy. And that little voice, the one that whispers, "Who do you think you are?" It's probably working overtime right now. So today, we're going deep into Chapter 4 of Rise and Thrive, a Black woman's blueprint for leadership excellence, overcoming imposter syndrome and building confidence. We're not doing surface level affirmations. We're doing strategy. We're doing frameworks. We're doing the work that actually moves you from feeling like a fraud to operating like the leader you already are. Let's get into it. Before we can overcome something, we need to understand what we're actually dealing with. So let's start with some clarity. Imposter syndrome was first identified in 1978 by psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Suzanne Imes. They studied high-achieving women, women with advanced degrees, women in leadership positions, women who had objectively accomplished remarkable things, and found that many of them had a persistent belief that they were intellectual frauds. Despite external evidence of their competence, they remained convinced that they had somehow fooled everyone around them. Now, here's what's important to understand. Imposter syndrome is not a lack of competence. It's a disconnect between your actual competence and your perception of your competence. You're not actually a fraud, you just feel like one. And for Black women in corporate spaces, this feeling is often amplified by very real, very external factors. When you're frequently the only one in the room who looks like you, when your qualifications are questioned in ways your colleagues aren't, when you're navigating microaggressions while trying to perform at a high level, imposter syndrome isn't just internal. It's being reinforced from the outside. In Rise and Thrive, I break down the 5 types of imposter syndrome that tend to show up for high-achieving Black women. And I want to walk you through these because recognizing your pattern is the first step to interrupting it. The first type is the perfectionist. This is the woman who sets impossibly high standards and then beats herself up when she doesn't meet them. She believes that any mistake, any flaw, any less than perfect outcome is proof that she doesn't belong. Sound familiar? The perfectionist doesn't celebrate wins because she's too busy focusing on the one thing that could have been better. The second type is the expert. This woman believes she needs to know absolutely everything before she can speak up, contribute, or lead. She's the one who won't apply for the job unless she meets 100% of the qualifications, even though research shows men will apply when they meet 60%. She thinks competence means having all the answers, all the time, immediately. The third type is the natural genius. This is the woman who measures competence by how easily things come to her. If she has to struggle, if she has to work hard, if she has to ask for help, she interprets that as evidence that she's not actually good at what she does. She doesn't give herself credit for learning curves. The fourth type is the soloist. She believes that asking for help is weakness, that real competence means doing everything independently. She won't delegate, she won't collaborate, and she definitely won't admit when she's overwhelmed. If she needed support, that must mean she wasn't qualified in the first place. And the fifth type is the superwoman. This woman believes she has to work harder, be better, and do more than everyone around her just to be seen as equal. She's constantly proving her worth through overwork, and she often ends up exhausted, resentful, and still feeling like it's not enough. Now, here's where I need you to get honest with yourself. Which one are you? Or maybe you're a combination, because these patterns can overlap. The point isn't to put yourself in a box. The point is to recognize the specific lies imposter syndrome is telling you so you can start talking back. Because here's the truth that Audre Lorde understood. Silence doesn't protect us. Staying quiet about our struggles doesn't make them go away. What's most important to us, including our right to take up space in professional environments, must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood. Now that we understand what we're dealing with, let's talk about how to actually combat it. In Rise and Thrive, I introduced the SPEAK framework, a 5-step approach to building authentic confidence that isn't about fake it till you make it energy or toxic positivity. This is about real, sustainable confidence that's rooted in truth. S stands for survey your evidence. When imposter syndrome is loud, we tend to discount or completely forget all the evidence of our competence. So the first step is to actively, intentionally survey the evidence. I'm talking about creating what I call a proof portfolio, a documented collection of your wins, your accomplishments, the positive feedback you've received, the problems you've solved, the value you've created. When that voice says, you don't belong here, you need receipts to show it why it's wrong. Here's a practical exercise. Take 15 minutes this week to write down 10 professional accomplishments from the last 2 years. Not just the big promotions. Include the projects you rescued, the solutions you developed, the teams you supported, the ideas you contributed that made a difference. Then put this somewhere you can access it when you need it. P stands for perspective shift. Imposter syndrome thrives on distorted thinking. We catastrophize. We minimize our contributions. We engage in all or nothing thinking. A perspective shift means actively challenging these distortions. When you catch yourself thinking, everyone's going to see I don't know what I'm doing, shift to, I was hired because I have skills and experience that add value. I don't have to know everything on day one. One technique I teach in the book is the best friend test. If your best friend came to you with the same negative self-talk you're having, what would you tell her? You probably wouldn't say, yeah, you're right, you're terrible. You'd remind her of her value, her track record, her capabilities. Start talking to yourself the way you talk to someone you love. E stands for embrace the learning curve. This is especially important for my natural geniuses and my experts. Competence doesn't mean you never struggle. Growth requires discomfort. If you're not struggling with something, you're probably not stretching yourself enough. Reframe struggle as evidence that you're growing, not evidence that you don't belong. A stands for amplify your voice. This brings us back to Audre Lorde. What's important to you must be spoken. Stop sitting on your ideas in meetings. Stop waiting for someone to invite you to contribute. Stop editing yourself down to make other people comfortable. Your perspective, your specific, lived experience-informed, expertise-backed perspective has value. Use your voice. I know this can feel terrifying. I know there are real risks, especially in certain corporate environments. But here's what I've seen across more than 2 decades in HR leadership. Silence rarely protects your career. What protects your career is being known for the value you bring. And people can't know your value if you never let them see it. K stands for keep community. Imposter syndrome loves isolation. It loves to make you think you're the only one who feels this way, that everyone else has it figured out, that admitting your struggles will expose you. But community dismantles that. When you're in relationship with other Black women who are navigating similar challenges, when you can speak honestly about what you're experiencing, when you have people who will remind you who you are when you forget, imposter syndrome loses its grip. I want to stay with Audre Lorde for a moment because her story is a masterclass in overcoming the very things we're discussing today. Audre Lorde was born in 1934 in Harlem, New York, to Caribbean immigrant parents. She was legally blind, she struggled with speech development as a child, and she grew up in an era when Black women, especially Black queer women, were expected to be invisible, to be silent, to be grateful for whatever crumbs they were offered. But Lorde rejected that narrative entirely. She became a poet, a professor at Hunter College, an essayist whose work on intersectionality laid groundwork that academics and activists still build on today. She didn't just enter spaces where she wasn't expected, she transformed them. In her essay collection, Sister Outsider, Lorde writes extensively about the fear of speaking and the necessity of doing it anyway. She acknowledges the risk, having it bruised or misunderstood, but argues that the alternative is worse. Silence, she says, doesn't protect us. Our silence is used against us. Think about that in a corporate context. When you stay quiet in meetings, when you don't advocate for yourself, when you don't share your ideas, you're not protecting yourself. You're making yourself invisible. And invisibility is not a career strategy. Lorde also wrote, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." I want you to catch that. She's not saying the fear goes away. She's saying that when you're clear about your vision, when you're connected to your purpose, when you're using your strength in service of something that matters, the fear stops running the show. As a Black woman in corporate spaces, Lorde's wisdom is directly applicable. You are going to feel afraid. You are going to feel like an imposter. That's not evidence that something is wrong with you. It's evidence that you're pushing boundaries, that you're growing, that you're stepping into rooms where people like you haven't always been welcome. Your job isn't to wait until you're not afraid. Your job is to be powerful anyway. Let me bring this into the current moment because context matters. We're in January 2026. The workplace is changing rapidly. AI is transforming industries. Remote and hybrid work has permanently shifted how we collaborate, and the conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion are evolving in complex ways. For Black women professionals, this creates both opportunity and uncertainty. On one hand, there's more flexibility, more pathways to leadership, more recognition that diverse perspectives drive innovation. On the other hand, economic uncertainty, shifting political landscapes, and organizational restructuring can make everything feel precarious. This is exactly the kind of environment where imposter syndrome thrives. When things are uncertain, when the rules are changing, when you're not sure what's coming next, that voice loves to tell you that you're not equipped, that you don't have what it takes, that maybe you should just play it safe. Let me give you a scenario. There's an organization right now, and many of you might relate to this, where a Black woman was recently promoted to a senior leadership position. She's qualified, she has the track record, she earned it. But the team she inherited is going through a restructure. There's been turnover, and some people on the team have made it clear, subtly but clear, that they're not sure about her leadership. Now, she could let imposter syndrome run wild. She could second guess every decision, try to prove herself to people who've already decided to doubt her, exhaust herself trying to be perfect. Or she could use the SPEAK framework. Survey the evidence. She was promoted for a reason, and she can document the specific value she brings. Shift perspective. Resistance isn't evidence of her incompetence, it's evidence of other people's adjustment process. Embrace the learning curve. She doesn't have to have every answer on day one. Amplify her voice. She can lead with clarity, share her vision, and let people see her competence in action. Keep community. She can lean on her network, find mentors and peers who remind her who she is. This is how you build confidence in uncertain times. Not by pretending the challenges don't exist, not by waiting until you feel ready, but by taking strategic action that proves to yourself and eventually to your nervous system that you are capable. Before we move to the close, I want to give you something you can use immediately. This is what I call the 3-minute confidence reset, a technique you can do before any high-stakes meeting, presentation, or conversation where imposter syndrome is threatening to show up. Minute 1. Ground yourself physically. Plant your feet, relax your shoulders, take 3 deep breaths. Your body often stores anxiety, and intentionally releasing that physical tension can shift your mental state. Minute 2. Speak your evidence. Out loud if you can, silently if you need to. State 3 specific reasons you belong in this room, earn this position, or deserve this opportunity. Not general affirmations, specific evidence. I led the project that increased efficiency by 30%. I have 15 years of expertise in this area. I was chosen for this because of my track record. Minute 3. Set your intention. What do you want to contribute in this moment? What value are you bringing? Shift from, I hope they don't see through me, to, here's what I'm here to offer. This redirects your focus from self-protection to service. 3 minutes. Do this consistently, and you're rewiring your response to high-pressure situations. Let's bring this all together. Imposter syndrome is real. The feelings are real. But the narrative that you're a fraud, that you don't belong, that your success is an accident, that's not real. That's distortion. And you have the power to challenge it. Audre Lorde gave us the blueprint. What is most important to you must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood. Your voice matters. Your perspective matters. Your presence in leadership spaces matters. Use the SPEAK framework. Survey your evidence. Shift your perspective. Embrace the learning curve. Amplify your voice. Keep community. Do the work consistently and watch how your relationship with confidence transforms. If today's episode resonated with you, I want to invite you to go deeper. Grab your copy of Rise and Thrive, a Black woman's blueprint for leadership excellence. Chapter 4 has additional frameworks, exercises, and strategies that we couldn't cover in 30 minutes. The link is in the description. And if you want a free tool to get started right now, download the Shield Resilient Strategy Guide. It's designed to help you build the kind of sustainable confidence that doesn't crumble under pressure. That link is also in the description. Now here's my question for you, and I want you to drop your answer in the comments. What's one specific situation where imposter syndrome has held you back, and what's one step from today's episode that you're going to apply? Let's start a conversation. Let's build community. Your comment might be exactly what another woman watching this needs to hear. And don't forget, if you're looking for leadership content that applies to everyone, not just Black women, check out my Unlock, Empower, Transform podcast. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Thursdays, focusing on high-value leadership and transforming organizations through purposeful culture. But Wednesdays are ours. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. This is Shay Blackman, and remember, you're not an imposter. You're a leader in progress. Now go speak your truth.